All right. Thank you, Monica. So, yeah, once again, just briefly, welcome everyone. I welcome each of you today's practice and Sangha. My name is Debbie Darren, and I'm filling in for Kevin today. I first met Kevin back around 2013, 2014, and I've been ever so grateful for how we, you know, our paths crossed because it was my first experience of this integration of Buddhism and recovery, which I so cherish. It just, they hold each other's hands in such a beautiful way. And yeah, over these years, Kevin has become a wonderful mentor for me, and I am ever grateful and humbled for him to invite me once in a while to fill in for him, as he does with a number of other teachers now and then. So, welcome to today, uh, this 24th day of January of 2023. Welcome to those who are here now and those who may be watching this at another time. And I would like to offer a special welcome to any of you who are here for the first time. If you would like, you can raise your hand and you can be acknowledged, and we welcome you. We've got a couple pages here of participants, so I'll just cruise through and see. All right. So it looks like most have been here before. So today I have chosen this theme for us for contemplation and exploration relative to change, impermanence, mindfulness, and renewal. Kind of this thread of impermanence in a way, and how we can, where and how we can take refuge in our practice and kind of sense into our relationship with change. How is it now? And so, as usual, we will begin with a 20-minute meditation. And then after the meditation, I'll offer some thoughts relative to refuge, to this concept of impermanence, to renewal in relationship to the Dharma and recovery processes, living a clean life, and just kind of delving a little bit into recognizing our habit patterns. So let's begin with the meditation. I will guide us in for a bit, and then the remainder of the time will be in your own experience, and it will be about 20 minutes. I'll begin with the bell, and we'll end with the bell. So, taking some time here as we are in the energy of a beginning of inviting ourselves to a formal practice of meditation with a sense of arriving, of settling, and also with a sense of energy, awareness, a presence. Feel the presence of your body, whether it's the weight on whatever is supporting you here today, or maybe you're sensing the body because of an ambient temperature of the air on the skin, or the texture of clothing. Whatever it is, recognize I am here. If your feet are on the floor, the invitation is to have them squarely flat, feeling the earth, feeling the floor, maybe you're feeling the socks on your feet, but feeling this connection to the earth. This earth that gravity holds us to. And we can deepen this sense of connection by even inviting the energy of our bodies to go down through the feet, through the floor, through the foundation of the house, into the earth itself. And even inviting this awareness to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And at some point, reaching this inner spectrum, this core of this earth. And maybe realizing that all of our energies are meeting there. We are interbeing, we are interconnected. And grounding into the sense of connection. And breathing in, this settling. And maybe on the next exhale, sensing this energy moving out from the body and back into the universe, into the air around us, into this life-supporting sustenance, air, sunshine, water, earth, fire, these ever-changing elements and qualities we depend on for survival. And which also connects us all together. Sensing the breath. Sometimes we are supported to recognize our inner landscape with the eyes closed. And sometimes there may be more of a sense of connection with the eyes slightly open and with a soft gaze. Just this awareness of being part of. Life is comprised of beginnings, middles, and endings. And beginnings, middles, and endings. This quality of change, impermanence, with the possibilities of renewal. And as we settle into the middle of our meditation, we will often notice the movement of the mind. Just noticing how thoughts, emotions, may arise. Maybe in another moment, another thought or sense arises. Just noticing the nature of shift and change. For the remainder of this meditation, the invitation is to notice the shifts, the changes, the beginnings, the middles, the endings, whether it might be sound, a thought, a pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral sensation, and even the breath, the beginning of an in breath, the middle of it, the end, pause in the space before the beginning of the exhale, the middle of the exhale, the ending of the exhale, emerging into the surroundings, into the pause, and then the rebirthing of a new breath. Our breath, body, sense doors are here to support us in this physical, mental, and heartful journey on this earth. With a sense of calm and ease and presence, take refuge in the breath, coming back to center when any thought, sensation, or emotion may want to draw you off into a storyland. You can tend to that later. Return to the presence of now, one breath at a time. from wherever awareness has been or is. Invite it back to the awareness of the breath. Inviting a few deep inhales and exhales. Feeling the energy of the breath in this present moment, just how it is. A quote from Jack Cornfield. Like a sand castle, all is temporary. Build it, tend it, enjoy it. And when the time comes, let it go. So opening the eyes if they've been closed and coming back into your space. I thank you for your practice. So kind of allowing yourself to settle into this transition between this internal experience and expanding outwards to each other and to wherever you are, however that was. I am going to change my audio settings for a minute here because there's a lot of ambient noise. Can you hear me? You can't hear me? You can hear me? Okay, good. I think after all the rains, there's just a lot of activity. Everything that that can be done now that there's sunshine is here. All right. Well, thank you for being here today once again. So yes, I'd really like to sense into this the energy of change, of impermanence. We're still in January, right? So, and we note that the qualities of impermanence include beginnings, middles, and endings. And if we look at the cycle of our calendar, we look at the cycle of the seasons, we look at the cycle of our day, we look at the cycle of maybe how we work, how we encounter others, how we're in relationship, and we'll notice that there's always a beginning, a middle, and an ending. So January is kind of like the beginning of a new year, right? And as human beings, we tend to sense that somehow or another. It's almost like we can't help ourselves. There's this like call to check in with ourselves. We're kind of in this, it's a mindful time, and we're kind of in this transition. It's between the past and the future. And where does that leave us? That leaves us in this moment, right? And so we check in. And sometimes the calling is, comes from our heart. Sometimes the calling to check in is from something going on in the body. Sometimes that calling is just, our mind states, what's going on in our lives. So no matter what, if we came into the beginning of the year with resolutions in our mind, or did you make an intention? whether we did either of those two things, which are ways of instigating change, the beginning of making a change, choosing to be in the flow of some kind of impermanence. Even if we don't do those things, change happens, right? Change happens all the time. It's always, it's a flow, and it can be experienced internally and externally, or both. But we notice, this characteristic. The Buddha taught about the three characteristics of experience of life: impermanence, suffering, and not self. And so this characteristic of impermanence, of change, is always happening. When we sense into it, especially in the beginning of the year, and we're kind of, our curiosity or our interest or investigation is kind of being called to contemplate where we have been and where we might be going, we are often called to some kind of an action. And the invitation and the teachings of the Buddha is always to anchor into wise action. What action is going to support the well-being of self and others? And all change involves some kind of letting go, right? So with change, there's letting go of something, and that creates a space that opens to something new. So we may be creating, desiring to create something new, or embarking on a dream, or even just doing something different. We have this sense of beginnings and endings kind of sitting side by side. When it comes to, those of us who have a propensity towards addictions, habit patterns, right? Whether it's substances or processes or activities, these negative habit patterns, when we're not aware, can run our lives. They can control our lives, and we might not even be aware of them. But a lot of times, and many of us in this room have come to some point in our lives and our experience where we have become aware that we have been being run by these negative habit patterns, and we've made a choice to change. But it's not easy, because our habit patterns they deceive us, actually. They disguise kind of as this comfort, right? So our habit patterns are often really, really difficult to let go. And yet there's something, even just in the cycles of life, that beckon us to do so, to allow ourselves to become free from being entrenched in some type of habit pattern. And at the beginning of a year, it's really strong. It's like, okay, let's just try it one more time. And so we find often in our lives, like I remember way back, whenever January come, was like, okay, dry January, not going to drink for a month, grit your teeth, not going to use, not going to overeat, not going to yell at my partner. I'm not going to binge on Netflix. I'm not going to, go for the rampant indulgent sex. The list goes on. There's something that we want to put an effort into letting go. And often it's with this intention of temporariness, because we can't fully, we're not really sure if it's totally ruining our lives or not. But we sense that, maybe if we take a break from this, it might be good. Let's listen, let's go deeper. Let's listen to the body, listen to the heart, listen to the mind. But it's hard. And often by the time we get to mid-January or near the end of January, that thread of continuity and commitment is severed, and our old pattern is back again. So the invitation is like to, especially at this time of year, to check in. Where am I now? Where are you now in relationship to your habit patterns? Some habit patterns may have totally been let go, turned over, done. We have opened our lives to this possibility of a deeper and more expansive clarity of mind. We've opened our hearts to sensing and anchoring into caring, not only more about ourselves than we used to. We're not abusing our bodies anymore. We're not overindulging in things that would just, could take us on a ride for a long time. And it affected others around us. So we've made a choice to make a change that is conducive to the well-being of all beings, not only ourselves. So whether we've made resolutions or set intentions, or even if we're working with some, aftermath or even current difficulty in in your life, can we just check in and pause? And that's our practice of mindfulness. That becomes kind of our refuge. Can we pause and check in? How is it now? How is it now? We've got this sense of renewal, a new year, a new day, a new moment, a new breath. Can we allow ourselves just to be now, in now? This kind of place, where we're between reviewing the past, looking forward. We're in this present moment, this middle. The middle is always the daunting part, right? Sometimes we can enthusiastically begin something and we love it and it's kind of joyful. And sometimes it's hard, but it's a new adventure. So there's this just renewed energy that goes towards these things sometimes. And then sometimes endings are really difficult and we don't want to let go. But the real journey is what's happening in the middle as well. That is just as powerful. And that is the present moment. And that's where a refuge is. I want to read something from Kevin's book. Let me see. From Kevin's book, A Burning Desire, which we've been reading and he's been taking us through recently in the classes. And I just wanted to review this one section that he shared with us last week about refuge. Taking refuge in the Dharma, turning our will and our lives over, includes coming into harmony with the law of karma. It also involves coming into harmony with the three characteristics of impermanence, suffering, and not self. We naturally resist impermanence because of the insecurity it implies. In our search for stability and safety, humans seem to be in a constant battle with this truth. Our bodies age, buildings fall down, levees break, lovers abandon us, children grow up, the seasons turn, over and over again. This can be cause for torment unless we come into harmony with it. When we deeply accept impermanence, change becomes a natural flow, an in-breath and an out-breath. Our perception of life coming through this lens of openness shows us that we don't have to do anything, just stop fighting. When we cease this resistance, life naturally becomes more easeful because we are working with the way things are instead of trying to change the unchangeable. It doesn't mean that loss isn't still painful, only that there is no confusion, no agitation around it. We begin to see the good side of impermanence, the excitement and possibility of birth and renewal. And I find that so beautiful to encourage us to just let go and recognize this is what's happening now. How can I be with it the most fully? And this is what the Buddha taught. The Buddha taught that living in this present moment, mindful and aware with a sense of equanimity is really foundational. It's really foundational. And it's like a gateway to our freedom. Why don't we take advantage of that, right? Jump in, give it a go. Viktor Frankl, the Austrian psychiatrist, shares, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So much possibility right there, right? So when we're practicing our mindfulness, it's kind of a refuge. We're practicing our mindfulness. We're taking the time to be in that space of the present moment, breathing with a sense of pausing and allowing. And we, in that space, we can just relax a little bit in regards to reactivity. You know, reactivity comes from fear and insecurities. So in the space, we can allow that to diffuse, to be released. And then there's room to fill that space with a more softened heart, sensing into the power to choose a more thoughtful and kinder response to whatever it is going on, whatever it is. That's where new karma can meet the road, right? Right now in this moment. What action will you choose? What action will we choose? So there's a saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got or gotten. So it sounds a little bit like samsara to me in the teachings of the Buddha, right? This cycle, this repeating cycle, birth, in the sense of addictions, birth, misery, and death caused by this reactive karma that we're creating in our actions. We can choose birth, to birth the habit pattern over and over again, to live in the misery, to die in the shame and the blame, and to repeat when we're ready. Or we can choose change. We can choose to let go. We can open our hearts to the possibility of responsiveness. What are you choosing to do? What are you choosing to perpetuate? What are you ready to change, to let go of? What are you ready to receive? It is in letting go that we find freedom. This is the third noble truth in the teachings of the Buddha. The first is that we will encounter suffering in this life. The second truth is that there is a cause of suffering, and that cause is clinging, grasping, holding on to something that we think may be making us feel better. But if we look deeply, if we take time for some mindfulness, we recognize it is causing our suffering. So then that third noble truth comes in. The way to be free from the suffering is letting go, whatever it is that's hooking us. Thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, wanting, desires, aversions. And then he taught the fourth noble truth, that the way is found through the Eightfold Path. So with the teachings from this Eightfold Path, if we choose to explore that Eightfold Path, and when we're living in recovery, when we're living, to have chosen to live clean and sober lives, we have many ways, many tools to support us. There are 12 steps that we can anchor into that help us get going. We have in the Dharma realm this Eightfold Path. We deliberately choose to walk a different path than we have been. We cultivate a new view on life. The first part of the Eightfold Path. We reset our intentions. We shift our language, our speech. towards ourselves and to others. So instead of it being sourced from fear or insecurities, we choose to source from this place of kindness and compassion, from even joy, to not harm. And we cultivate actions which support that well-being. We find community of like minds. We join together. We share a desired intention to live clean and sober lives. We check in on how we're living. How am I living moment to moment, day by day? Where is my heart? What is my intention? We put effort into changing our relationship with life. Some changes just happen, but there's still an effort to explore how we are in relationship with it. Other changes we're implementing, and it takes some effort, wise effort. And then we choose to be mindful. We take time to source into the pauses of our life, to meditate, just to cultivate this ability to stay with whatever is present now, to let go reactivity, to open to the possibility of cultivating a more supportive response. And then the last of the qualities of the Eightfold Path is developing our concentration. And we get to do that. We get to practice with that in our mindfulness meditations and our formal sitting, right? To be able to stay with something and not run away, not have to do something about something right now, but to take some time to be mindful, concentrating through this continual process of focusing our attention, not multitasking and trying to, it's like juggling all the balls of life, but can we just fully be with one thing at a time and give our full attention awareness to it? This is how we find our freedom, where insight arises, wisdom, where we have new possibilities, new changes, and a new life. A new life. We get to taste a new life. So just being able to be present now, we can and tap into that. Can we be with what is now, recognizing there are things that we can't change, and when there are things that we can change, to cultivate the courage to make the next right, wise choice, and to know the difference. And that opens us up to possibilities over and over again, and we can apply that to any situation, and then we're in the flow of impermanence. We're in this flow of recognizing it, accepting it, and being with it. We get to take refuge in it, and we allow the space for renewal. So that's kind of what I have to offer today for us. Yeah, I was just thinking of January, and here we are. How are we, in this time of the year, this time of the month? Did you make any resolutions or intentions? Where are you with those now? How are they landing? Are there changes that you're meeting that are difficult? How are you noticing your relationship to them? And can you open up to the possibilities of being fully present and sourcing into the next right thing, being free of reactive patterns? I think that's all for me today to offer. And I thank you for your kind attention. And we have some time here for questions and for reflections, however, what landed for you or didn't, where are you in this time, um, of your own journey. Um, are you in a newness? Are you in a middle? Are you in, an ending? And just how does it feel and where do you find refuge? So Anne, I see you there. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Hi.
Thanks. Hi.
It's good to see you there this morning. It's good to hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah, very
See
chock
you.
full of hope. So I thought at the end there. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just taking refuge in mindfulness. And as you were talking, I thought about this for me, this right now, this tension between seeking comfort. My body wants to seek comfort, as just as a human organism or as an organism. And so the tension between that and wanting to change, right? Wanting to have a more peaceful experience in whatever it is. And yesterday, I was doing a Qigong practice with one of my teachers, and this idea of allowing, sort of the theme was like continually allowing just whatever is arising in the energy field in the body. And so I brought that into, I'm having treatment for my foot. There's a lot of pain, having treatment, and the treatment is painful, and I sort of just, because I'm wanting to take refuge in mindfulness and in healing, I just went in there. I was like in the middle of it, and it was painful, and I'm just like, okay, my mind, okay, just allow the pain of healing, you know. And just by saying that to myself and to my body, my foot responded. um, and sort of there was this opening to take place for healing in my foot, and it feels better today. It's been going on for a while. But just to offer that as just in my practice over time, I've just been amazed. And when I put effort into the practice and the attitudes, that I really can take refuge in mindfulness, even though it's painful. Sometimes the healing is painful. There's suffering that leads to the end of suffering, I guess and yeah, something like that. Anyway, I just thank you so much. It was very, very helpful as I, make changes in my activity pattern
Yeah.
um, in my body. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for bringing up this recognition. There are different types of pain, right? There's the healing pain, just like you said. Then there's pain that's not healing. There's destructive pain. So yeah, being able to take refuge and just allowing ourselves to recognize when pain is there to heal us and help us, and to breathe with it, uh, to breathe with it, to be with it while it's present, knowing that it's going to be leading us to the renewal one way or another. So thank you for bringing that.
Sure. Yeah, it takes a certain amount of trust, right? And that develops over time. It's not like a right?
Yeah,
Trust and faith. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Okay, get this chat. I'm looking in the chat here for a minute. Thank you, Monica, for posting all of that information. Um, hmm, yeah. There's some private chats here. Many of us are dealing with loss of people who are transitioning out of this body right now. Um, how do we deal with that part of impermanence, right? There's something about reflecting on the end of our presence here that gives us the opportunity to be with the preciousness of the moments that we do have, right? And sometimes that can soften the heart. Sometimes we can, fall into despair because of others' despair. And so can we anchor into this practice to cultivate the inquiry to ourselves of how can I be present for this other in the most beneficial and compassionate way for them at this time? Can I shift my focus from me to them? And as Jan Siegel says, it's really this inter thing, this mui, he calls it mui. Me and you come together as mui. We're all experiencing it together. How can I offer to the other that is suffering whatever it is that they need? And there's the mui. Yeah. Eleanor, I see your hand is up.
Hi, yeah, it's so great to hear your voice today, Debbie. It often happens to me that I listen to a guided meditation and a Dharma talk, and I go, "Oh yeah, right, that. Oh, that's so true. Yeah, that thing," and then I can't remember what it is afterwards. But somehow, Anne, what you said about the pain of healing brought some suffering I'm experiencing in my own life now more into focus. In this new year, I am intending to focus on relationships with people in my life that need attention. And what I'm needing to let go of is my expectation that these dear ones show up in my life in a certain way, maybe in the way that they used to show up, maybe in a way that's what my expectation of how they should be relating to me, and they should be relating to their own suffering. And God darn it, these people are showing up in my life with different ways than my expectation. So I have to face that reality that that's what's showing up now. That's what I have to work with. That's where the healing in me to look at these dear ones and say, it's not the same for them anymore. And is that going to be okay with me? Or am I going to keep on creating that pattern of, well, how come this is different? I don't like it. I want it to be the same as it always was. So thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you, all of you. You all are dear ones.
Thank you so much, Eleanor. Yeah. Being with what is now, not the past or the future. Can we just be here now? Yeah. Thank you. All right. We have a couple more minutes. If there's, okay, Mike, I see your hand up, and then David.
Yeah, hi Debbie. Thanks for the talk today. That was really good. Love your energy and your zeal for the Dharma. And I just watched a video celebrating, or not celebrating, but kind of memorializing the first year after Thich Nhat Hanh's death, and it put out by Plum Village, and I hadn't seen it, and yeah, it was a real kind of celebration of his life, and since we're talking about beginnings and ends, and I'd seen a lot of the reaction early on when it first happened, and I went up to Deer Park, which is one of the monasteries, the day of his cremation, and there's a lot of sadness. There was people were really sad. He'd been their teacher for 20 or 30 years, so it was interesting to see some of the interviews a year later, and I didn't realize that they had taken his ashes and brought it to the various places and you could see, the process of the monks and nuns. They'd hold out their hands and then put a little scoop of his ashes in his hands, and then they showed some video of them, like going to a tree or a flower or a bush and, holding it over there and praying and saying goodbye and letting the ashes go. And just, it made me think, even Zen masters have a hard time letting go. It's not just us. People who have devoted their lives to mindfulness and concentration have a hard time. But after a year, after some time to reflect on it, you can see the maturity they've moved. They have been able to move on. And one of the monks talked about the last time when they went there, he was like, the last Dharma talk from Tai or Thich Nhat Hanh was in noble silence. It was just his ashes, in front of the monk sangha, and he was like, he was reflecting on it as like, it was like very powerful. Just his last talk, just everything kind of came to him, while they were having the reflection there. Anyway, it was a powerful video. Take a look if you have a chance. And yeah, thanks, Dewey.
Mike, thank you. Yeah.
Where can we find that, Mike?
Dave?
If you go on Plum Village, it should be pretty easy to find. They have a Yahoo channel too.
Nice. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Okay, David, and then we'll close up.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah, for the talk and for the meditation and everything. And I was just curious about getting a copy of it because I was distracted often during it, and I'd like to revisit it. I had that question, but I also just wanted to share on the fact of, yeah, I was in a meeting, online meeting just before this, and I noticed the uncomfortability of checking out of that meeting a couple minutes before it ended to get into this one, that juggling thing. And I used communication and whatnot to try to make that transition easier. And it was easier than sometimes when I just say, oh shoot, I think really quickly, oh crap, I got to get into this other meeting. I just sign out without saying anything. And so I'm trying to work with that. And for instance, right, I have an outpatient program I attend, and I took this time out to step away from that as well because it's Monday through Friday, and I take an hour out of that to attend this. So there is some juggling and whatnot, but this is part, and I'm accountable with them about that, and they agree this is a good thing for me. So I'm just trying to balance some things as well as incorporate new things. But at the same time, I get easily distracted thinking about some of these other things while I was attempting to listen to your talk. So yeah, so thank you all for being here with me on my recovery journey.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Yes. Deciphering the wise choices and then training our mind to be right where we are with whatever that choice is. You're doing the work and just keep doing it. Keep coming back. Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here. We went a little over today. Thank you for your practice. And maybe, just as you're going throughout your day, throughout your week, to recognize the places you might be holding on to something. Can you kind of, soften, release a little bit, and just really open yourself to being with what's right in front of you fully. Yeah, someone just posted in the chat. They started the Gata by Thich Nhat Hanh. I have arrived. I am home in the here, in the now. I am solid. I am free. In the ultimate, I dwell. May you have a beautiful day. Thank you.